Have you read a story in the Draoithe Saga and come away with a classic case of immersion after effect? Let me guess, there are questions which remain unanswered even as the magic expanded, adding another layer to the dream. The grand desire to turn the page to discover what happened next ended with the last leaf turned. If you're asking where the remedy for the book hangover is, you know the answer: read another story. But you aren't ready for the next tale, not yet. The dust needs to settle before you pick up the next volume. So you have found your way here. You aren't alone. Even the author can't get enough. As you hear this, Ophelia writes on. But allow me to offer you a possibility, a reflection on the tale you recently finished, and a way to revisit the story to ease the story blues. Welcome to the Draoithe Saga After Party. Warning, spoiler alerts ahead. Turn back now if you wish to read the story blind.
Imagine for a second, right, that you've just been sold into servitude. And not just to anyone. You are sold to a terrifying, immortal demon king who rules this dark, freezing realm. And he literally feeds on your fear and your pain like a drug.
Like an absolute addiction. Yeah.
Right. So if you were in that situation, you would probably just cower in a corner, right? You'd keep your head down, try to become invisible, and just do whatever it takes to survive the night.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That is the rational human response.
Exactly. But what if, instead of doing that, you take a look around his ancient, imposing stone castle, decide that his kitchen layout makes absolutely no sense, and you just start rearranging his spices?
It's definitely not the standard survival strategy for dealing with an ancient demonic entity.
No, it is not.
And yet, that bizarre, almost hilarious defiance is really the very foundation of one of the most intense psychological dynamics we've looked at in a while.
I am so ready to unpack this. Today, we are taking a deep dive into some truly fascinating source material. We've got excerpts from Ophelia Key's noble dark fantasy novel, Shadow Runes.
Which is Volume 3 of the Dread Desire miniseries, for those keeping track.
Yes, exactly. And our mission for you today is to really analyze this deeply complex, incredibly dark, and honestly constantly evolving relationship between two very different characters.
Right. We have Sume, a human who has been sold into slavery, and Alexio, the ancient shadow king of Iglafon.
And we should probably establish right away that the world Ophelia Key has built here is intensely dark. It's violent.
Yeah, it's not a gentle universe.
Yeah.
We are looking at a magical paranormal setting where fear and pain aren't just, bad emotions. They are literal currencies for survival.
Right.
But beneath the brutal surface of this story, the psychological power play between Sume and Alexio is this masterful study in adaptation. It's a deep exploration of how people find balance and leverage in a world where they supposedly possess zero power.
And to really understand how that balance shifts, we have to look at the starting line. Because initially, the power dynamic is just brutally one-sided.
Oh, completely.
You have Alexio. He is the first demon forged centuries ago from a human warrior's soul. He rules Iglafon with an absolute iron fist. And because of his demonic biology, he physically requires fear and pain to sustain himself. Like we said, it's a literal addiction. He draws it in almost like a tangible energy.
He does, and that biological need really dictates everything about how he interacts with the world. And then, on the other side of the equation, you have Sume.
Right.
She is a young human woman who has lost absolutely everything. Her mother, her sisters, her past, it's all gone. She was actually sold into this life of servitude by her own father.
Which is just awful.
It is. So when she arrives at this freezing, remote fortress, she fully expects a cruel, ugly monster of a master.
Yeah.
She is completely terrified. Yeah, and her fear is so pure, so potent, that Alexio is instantly captivated by it. The text describes it as drawing him in, wrapped in this unique scent of tangerines and shadows.
I really want you, the listener, to put yourself in Sume's shoes here for a second. You are in a frozen castle, owned by a demon who drinks your terror. But here is where the story just completely subverts the helpless captive trope.
It really does.
Because Sume wakes up alone one morning, wanders down to get some breakfast, and realizes Alexio's kitchen is just a functional disaster.
Right, she's like, what is this layout?
Exactly. She thinks, should the clean dishes not be in the cabinets next to the sink? So she just simply reorganizes the entire space.
Yeah.
She moves the spices right next to the wood stove so she can actually cook a pot of these strange, dried, bean-like vegetables she finds.
It is such a wondrously mundane act of rebellion. But, she doesn't stop with the kitchen cabinets. She actually starts humanizing the castle's population.
Yes, the lessers.
Right. Alexio's servants are referred to as lessers. They are mute, heavily marginalized, and essentially treated as just invisible labor by the demons. But Sume, however, spends an entire afternoon teaching one of these lessers sign language.
And she gives her a name, Ada.
She gives her a name, which is huge in this world. And when the other lessers see this happening, they want to learn too. So she starts naming them as well. Musafa, Racine, Halil.
Wow.
Slowly, she takes this cold, hyper-functional, terrifying fortress and starts quietly threading humanity, warmth, and community into the very stones of the place.
Which is just wild to me. I mean, it's like being locked in a haunted house and deciding your first priority is interior decorating and staff management.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm honestly struggling to understand Alexio's reaction to this. If he is this ancient, terrifying demon who rules through absolute fear, why does he tolerate it? I feel like a human slave rearranging his personal sanctuary and naming his invisible servants would be a massive insult to his authority. Why doesn't he punish her?
So, to understand Alexio's reaction, we really have to look at the deep psychological isolation he has lived in for a millennium. When he returns and discovers what she's done, he doesn't lash out.
He doesn't.
No. Instead, he just quietly studies her while she's humming in the kitchen cooking food. You have to remember, for centuries, Alexio has won wars, built a fortress, and mastered his devastating shadow magic.
But he hasn't actually lived. There is a brilliant callback in the text to the moment he first became a demon. He was asked if he feared death, and his response was that he didn't fear death, but rather not having lived.
Oh, wow. So he's essentially been a ghost in his own castle this whole time.
That is a great way to put it, yeah. He's merely existed. So when he watches Sume introduce warmth, domesticity, and a real sense of care into Iglafon, it brings a feeling of home that he didn't even realize he was starving for.
Oh.
This completely shifts his view of her. She ceases to be just a source of fear or, mere property. She starts becoming essential to his actual experience of life. So she is establishing this quiet, domestic footprint. But she isn't just a human interior decorator. There is something else fundamentally disrupting their dynamic, something Sume is hiding, even from herself, right?
Yes.
She possesses this incredibly powerful gift of innate shadow magic, but she has absolutely zero training or understanding of how to use it. Which I guess brings us to the Vasily incident.
Oh, yeah. This is one of the most critical sequences in the source material for understanding how their relationship evolves.
Right.
So Vasily is Alexio's oldest friend and his man-at-arms. He is an ancient, powerful demon prince in his own right, someone who has fought alongside Alexio for centuries.
And Vasily ends up getting this massive wooden splinter shoved completely through his arm.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls it out, and the bleeding is just catastrophic. Now again, imagine you are Sume in this moment. She panics. And it's not just because someone is hurt.
No, it's about Alexio.
Exactly. She is terrified that Alexio is going to walk through the door, see his oldest, most trusted commander bleeding out on the floor, and blame her for it. She thinks she is going to be executed on the spot.
Right.
And that intense, spiking terror accidentally triggers her hidden shadow magic.
And the mechanics of how this magic manifests are really important here.
Yeah.
Because she has no training, the magic doesn't flow out like a controlled, healing spell. The shadows violently leap from her fingers on pure instinct to fix the source of her fear.
Wow.
They physically seize Vasily, wrapping tightly around his arm, sinking directly into his flesh and bone.
It sounds horrifying, honestly. Like, it's not a gentle healing light at all.
Not at all. The shadows actively hurt him in order to force the wound closed. It is such a traumatic, violent form of healing that Vasily, this ancient demon warrior, actually screams for her to stop.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and the physical toll of channeling this raw magic is so intense that Sume immediately faints.
It's like trying to sew up a surgical incision using barbed wire. It is brutally the wrong tool for the job, but somehow it forces the wound closed.
That's a perfect analogy, yeah.
But right before she loses consciousness, she begs Vasily not to tell Alexio what happened. Because in her mind, she just assaulted his best friend with dark magic.
Right.
If shadow magic is normally used for destruction in this world, how does Alexio process this? I would assume he'd see her as a massive threat the second he finds out.
Well, that is the logical assumption, especially for a paranoid immortal king. But this is where Ophelia Key really flips our expectations about power. When Vasily finally reports the incident to Alexio, and it's worth noting here, he actually refers to Sume with complete deference as my queen while doing it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but Alexio's reaction is fascinating. He finds the entire situation deeply ironic. He actually laughs.
Wait, he laughs. His friend was basically tortured with healing magic, and he thinks it's funny.
He does. He thinks to himself about how he uses the shadows to obliterate walls and slaughter armies, while this tiny human woman accidentally uses the same destructive force to heal his men.
That is wild.
It is. But beyond the humor, this revelation fundamentally changes how he views her future.
How so? Like, what shifts for him?
Up until this point, Alexio knew she was human. And humans are fragile, right? They age, they break, they die. Eglifon is located in the netherworld, which is this harsh, volatile, dark dimension where mortals simply do not belong.
Right, they can't survive there long term.
Exactly. But realizing she has innate shadow magic proves to Alexio that she isn't just a temporary plaything. The magic means she inherently belongs in his world. She has the raw, terrifying power to stand beside him. In that single moment, her status is permanently elevated in his mind from a captive slave to his potential immortal Shadow Queen.
Okay, that makes sense. If she has the magic of his realm, she belongs in his realm. But that also makes her incredibly dangerous, doesn't it? Because if she figures out how to use that magic, what's stopping her from using those same violent shadows to just blast a hole in his castle wall and escape?
Well, that is the exact tactical problem Alexio realizes he has to solve. And he addresses it during a highly intense, deeply painful physical encounter between the two of them.
Right. Let's talk about the mechanics of this, because it feels like a massive turning point. Because of his demonic nature, Alexio inflicts pain during intimacy. That's how he feeds on her fear. But in this specific instance, he is pushing her further than he ever has before.
Yes.
And as he pushes her past her physical limits, her shadow magic instinctively rises up out of self-preservation to fight him off.
Which is exactly what he wants. He is deliberately provoking her magic. He needs it to surface.
Right.
Once her shadows manifest to defend her, Alexio uses his own centuries of magical mastery to completely overwhelm her defenses. He seizes her shadows, forcing them to yield to his command. And then he does something permanent. He forces their magic to intertwine, essentially trading half of his shadows for half of hers.
So he's literally leaving a piece of his own magic inside her mind and taking a piece of hers into his.
Exactly.
It feels like, I don't know, grafting a branch from one tree onto a completely different trunk so they share the same sap. But what is the actual strategic goal here?
The text refers to it as creating an infinite loop. Alexio is a pragmatist, right? He knows that he hurts her. He terrifies her. He knows that any rational human instinct, the basic fight or flight response, might eventually push her to run away from him.
Sure.
So by grafting their magic together, he ensures that if she ever tries to flee, the literal piece of his soul that is now woven into hers, will always pull her in a circle, right back to Eglifon, right back to him.
That is chilling. He is fundamentally rewriting her biological and magical compass so that true north is always him.
It is terrifying. But he also pairs this magical binding with a deep psychological dependency.
How does he do that?
Well, after he pushes her to the absolute brink of pain and terror, he completely shifts gears. He becomes the one who provides intense tenderness, comfort, and physical safety. He essentially trains her nervous system to rely on his aftercare. The source of her pain is also the only source of her comfort.
See, when you explain it like that, it sounds like pure calculated manipulation.
Oh, absolutely.
He is engineering a magical tracking device and a trauma bond. I mean, he's a predatory demon king securing his property. But I have to wonder, is it purely one-sided manipulation? Because if you are grafting your magic together, mixing the water of two rivers, doesn't that mean she now has his magic inside her too? Doesn't that expose him to her?
You've hit on the central paradox of Alexio's character right there. Yes, it is a masterclass in dark manipulation. But simultaneously, it is a staggering act of vulnerability.
Really?
Think about who Alexio is. He is an immortal warlord who has isolated himself for hundreds of years because trust is a weakness that gets you killed.
Right.
For a being like that to open his mind and permanently share the core of his magical essence with another person, it is the ultimate surrender of autonomy. He is binding her so she can't leave, but he is equally binding himself to her. He is giving up a piece of his absolute control because he is that desperate not to be alone anymore.
Wow. Okay, so they're magically bound in this infinite loop. They share shadows. But Alexio is ancient and smart. He knows that magic and trauma bonds can force someone to stay, but it can't force them to be a true queen. A prisoner is always looking for the door, right?
Exactly.
How does he transition her from a captive who has to stay into a partner who chooses to stay?
This is where we see his strategy evolve from magical coercion to something much more complex. Sume actually brings up her mortality. She tells him, like, I'm human, I'm going to get old, my hair is going to go gray, I will get sick, and eventually I will die. I can't stay with you forever.
And Alexio's response to this is just incredible. He flat out rejects the entire concept of human marriage. He says something along the lines of human religion rubbing his horns the wrong way.
Yeah, it's a fantastic line. Yeah. But the philosophy behind it is deeply pragmatic. Till death do us part is a meaningless concept to an immortal.
Right, death isn't on the table for him.
Exactly. He refuses to accept her death, so he offers her immortality, he offers to teach her how to wield the shadow magic, and he offers her a permanent place ruling by his side. But he's also brutally honest about the cost.
He doesn't sugarcoat it.
No, he doesn't pretend to be a savior. He tells her, I will always own you, I will always hurt you, and I will always drink your fear.
He really just lays all the cards on the table, but then he gives her this one crucial caveat. He doesn't just force the crown on her head. He tells her, when you are ready, you have to ask me for what you want, and I will grant it.
That is the key. He needs her voluntary submission. If he just forces immortality on her, she remains a victim. If she asks for it, she takes ownership of her fate.
Right.
But to ensure she actually wants to ask for this life, Alexio does something entirely unprecedented for a demon king. He recognizes that Sume is deeply, profoundly lonely. She is the only human in a castle of demons. So he orders his top demon princes to go out and find permanent consorts.
I love this part. He basically looks at his centuries-old bachelor warlords and says, all right, gentlemen, it is time to settle down because my queen needs a friend group.
Yeah.
And they actually do it. We get introduced to these incredible new characters. Makar brings back a Strix named Elwyn.
And for context, a Strix in this world is a highly dangerous avian humanoid creature. Elwyn is brash, chaotic, and demanding. Her brother basically threatened to go to war with Alexio if she wasn't treated like absolute royalty.
Right, and then Draoithe brings back Enya, who is a snow leopard shifter. So suddenly Sume is surrounded by these powerful, dominant women from different parts of the magical world.
And the dynamic of the castle completely transforms again. Sume's crushing isolation evaporates. Instead of wandering a cold stone fortress alone, these women spend their afternoons together.
Doing what, exactly?
They're spinning thread, braiding rugs, stitching heavy drapes to keep out the cold, and collectively teaching the lesser servants sign language. The Great Hall transitions from a sterile warlord's court into a warm, lived-in community space.
It is an amazing transformation, but as a listener, I want you to think about the reality of this situation. He gives her eternal life, he gives her a castle to decorate, and he literally imports a hand-picked peer group of best friends just to keep her entertained. It is the world's most luxurious, perfectly constructed golden cage. Does Sume actually have free will here? If your captor has bound your soul with magic and then meticulously engineers a perfect life for you, is that a choice, or is it just the most brilliant bribe in history?
Well, that tension is exactly what makes Shadow Runes such a compelling read. It is a highly curated dependency. But we have to evaluate Sume's choice based on her reality, not ours. Before she came to Eaglefont, she was betrayed by her own father and sold into slavery. She has vivid nightmares about the absolute soul-crushing poverty and loneliness of her mortal past. She has nothing to go back to.
So it's a calculation for her.
A deeply emotional calculation, yes. Alexio understands a fundamental truth of power. A slave who is beaten will always seek freedom. But a queen who feels safe, who feels loved, and who is surrounded by a community she built, she will fight to the death to protect her cage.
Wow.
Sume makes a trade. She accepts the physical fear and pain she must endure to feed Alexio's nature. In exchange, she receives absolute, unshakable security, immortality, and a family. In a universe as harsh as the Netherworld, choosing the golden cage isn't brainwashing. It might be the only rational strategy for survival.
It really is a masterclass in dark adaptation. It forces us to look at how people find agency in situations where they seemingly have none. Sume doesn't defeat the terrifying Shadow King with a sword or a spell, She defeats his centuries of isolation with spice racks, sign language, and quiet domesticity. She doesn't escape the monster. She makes the monster desperately need her.
Exactly. She weaponizes his own loneliness against him. It highlights that even for a being of immense immortal power, absolute control is ultimately worthless without genuine companionship. Fear might keep him alive, but Sume gives him a reason to live.
Which leaves us with one final, very provocative thought to mull over. We've established that Alexio physically survives by feeding on Sume's fear, right? That is his biological fuel.
Right, he needs it.
But as this relationship evolves, as she grows into her power as the immortal Shadow Queen, as she becomes completely secure in this community of friends and totally confident in his absolute devotion to her, her fear is inevitably going to fade. You can't stay terrified of the haunted house once you've rearranged the furniture and made friends with the ghosts. So what happens to the Shadow King's literal biological hunger when the woman he is eternally bound to is no longer afraid of him at all?
That is the million-dollar question for their future. How does a predator survive when his prey becomes his equal?
It really is. Something to think about the next time you find yourself wanting to reorganize your kitchen cabinets.
I sincerely hope you enjoyed this thorough analysis of another tale from the Draoithe Saga by Ophelia Key. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more original stories and audio adventures. A special thank you to OK Music Writers for writing and for sharing the Enter the Dream soundtrack. It's more than a story, it's an experience. Welcome to the dream.